I guess we should be saying something if we're getting her to test the.
Yeah,
she,
here,
she can
but
hear us. That would be helpful. Oh, we got another person. Awesome. Okay, somebody, and Glenda is joining us. Excellent. And Darla can hear us. That's great. And Glenda's connecting. Okay, she's collect. Everybody's shy except for Lori. Okay. Well, Nicole, why don't you start with who you are and what's your involvement in cycling and all the fun stuff, and we kind of discussed last night. Give you guys an introduction to who we are and then what we love about riding. So I'll let Nicole take it away.
yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Wendy. I'm Nicole. I'm the treasurer of the Regina Cycle Club, and yeah, so I'm based here in Regina. I'm primarily a roadie and a cross and gravel rider. I brought my gravel bike upstairs here today for today's chat. Um, the thing that got me into cycling was I grew up in a one-car family, and so if you wanted to go anywhere and dad wasn't home from work, you had to go by bike or take the bus. So to get some freedom and some control, um, we biked everywhere as a kid. Yeah, from as long as I can remember. So I really identify as a commuter, but I always wanted the speed of a road bike. So when I was in university, I bought a road bike, and that was the beginning of my cycling journey for real. So I got my first road bike in 2008. I did my first race in 2015. I got a gravel bike. I can't remember that year or the year after. I'm not really sure. And, I've been going on strong ever since. So that's my background and why I love it. It's the freedom and the speed. So I have a fat bike now. We were talking about winter riding for those of you that were on earlier. So the speed part hurts a little for me there, but I still like being outside. So that's me. Wendy, do you want to?
So I was rooked into cycling way back when I was 17. I was in first year university, and a good friend of mine got me involved in road cycling. And I just, much like Nicole, I just love the freedom of it and everything. And so I got involved with racing to see what that was all about, and I did that for 9 years, and I represented Saskatchewan as part of the provincial team as well. Um, and then the last 3 years that I raced, I discovered mountain bikes. And I was like, oh my God, where have you been all my life? That was kind of the deal with me. So I did race mountain bikes for 3 years, but then I was just like, I'm just having way too much fun. And now I just ride for the sheer enjoyment of it, to hit all the trails and get out in nature. And just I'm a designer, so a lot of times when I'm having problems with a design, I'll just go for a ride and forget about everything, and then I come back and I have the solution to what I was supposed to be, what I was struggling with in the design. So it's I don't know, it's, I find cycling for me, doesn't matter what form, is so conducive to creativity, because I also do creative writing as well, copywriting and stuff like that. So they go hand in hand. Cycling is just such an amazing stress relief, and it just balances everything out for me. And I guess that kind of speaks to why I love it. Um, and currently, I was telling Nicole, I'm working towards taking my international certification to be allowed to teach mountain biking anywhere in the world, which is thrilling to me. It's extremely a lot of work, but I'm looking forward to it. So I'll be taking my um, 3-day exam next year in the fall. So it's going to be a lot of prep for this full year, but I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, and we wanted you guys to know that the SCA actually has all like we Nicole and I like I'm a big fan of mountain biking, and I do fat biking as well. Um, I have a background in road and stuff like that, but there's so many different types of riding. There's, like Nicole was saying, for commuting, for touring, for uh, what else can you think of, Nicole, that I haven't mentioned?
There's a BMX. The last time I went
Oh, right.
gravel riding, we took a visit to their track and took a lap there, which was fantastic. And it's totally a different style again.
Yeah, nice.
And yeah, like, and even within the disciplines themselves, like I talked about gravel, there's cyclocross. You can use similar equipment for
Right.
that.
And cyclocross is hilarious, and a
Yeah,
very the one thing that you'll find about actually almost any the racers can get a little intense, but you would find that everybody's very, very welcoming, no matter if you're starting out for the first time and everything. They're just, any cyclist just so thrilled to see other people wanting to get on a bike and discover what we enjoy about it, and what like, so everybody gets so much out of it, and so many different things out of it. So whatever you whatever style, like whether you decide to get involved in just pedal around the park, or go out with the family, like there's lots of people now, especially with COVID, that are re discovering cycling together with the family, which is amazing. I just think it's awesome. Like I remember cycling with my family when we were kids. Like it had the big three wheelers, everything. It was hilarious. But yeah, like it's there's been such a resurgence of cycling, and I'm thrilled to see it, because I'm really hoping that once people get involved with it or reconnect with it, if they haven't since they've been kids, they're really going to go, oh, I need to keep this in my life.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, how
So
about you guys? Can we open up the floor? What's your interest in cycling or
yeah,
experience?
yeah, absolutely. So Lori, can you oh wait, we're going to the ceiling. Is that shyness?
Um, let's see. I used to bike when I was much younger, a lifetime ago,
Okay.
and just kind of lost track of biking. Kind of had the kids and stopped doing all that stuff.
Okay.
And then Rob got into his biking. Rob Walser's my husband, so
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we got
Okay. Oh
yeah.
yeah. Okay, now I recognize you. I was like, why do I know this name? You're not wearing a helmet. I don't recognize you.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
There we go. Oh no, well, not quite the same, but yeah. Okay.
So yeah, he started biking a lot, and I just kind of, watched him enjoy it, get fit, and the kids started becoming more independent, and so I started getting into it a little bit, and then Rob asked me to be the secretary for the Moose Jaw Pavers, so it's like, okay. And now I'm on the women's task force and on the another task force thingy. I can't remember. And
Too many to remember.
we started the grassroots one, and then we Pavers started up we call ourselves the Prairie Petals, and we're part of the Pavers, and we're a women's only rec ride and mountain biking. And we've been going out for the summer. We're Monday mornings, and now because of school back in, it doesn't work for us. So we've moved to Saturdays, and I actually have a whole different group of women that have come out on the Saturday that couldn't make it on Mondays. So it's just
Nice.
exciting to see all these ladies, and we're promoting not only physical well-being but mental health. So we've had a few sessions where we just kind of sit and talk about whatever's bugging us, and it's like, yeah, that's what we're all about. Because one part of your body isn't healthy, the other part can't be.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for doing that. Like, I know how welcoming the Prairies Petals group is through Jen and stuff like that. So I'm really thrilled that you guys are doing that.
Yeah, I call her my Amazon. She's just like the queen. I don't know. This woman, she goes and bikes with us, and then she goes and throws a kayak and balances on her head, and then does backflips down to the water, and then runs 80 miles, and then she stops for breakfast, and then goes and picks up a buffalo and lap around the province. So yeah.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anybody else that is okay with their audio and can get on and introduce themselves? Glenda, Darla, Alyssa, or Ruth? Any of you want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Ruth.
Hey, Ruth.
I actually just started road biking this summer.
Nice.
Yeah, I got on with there's probably both anywhere between 3 to 5 triathletes that said, "Come on, get out here," and so they go out and make me do mini miles, and yeah, I'm liking it.
Nice.
Very cool.
So what was it? Who got you first into it? Like, what did they just say? Come on, give it a try, or what happened?
Yeah, well, I have a hybrid bike, and I'd go out for a ride, and one of them was always saying, "Come for a ride, come for a ride," and I went, right. I said, in the first half a block, you guys are already 4 blocks ahead of me, you know, and you feel the difference in weight in the bike. So I ended up, they kind of lined me up with a bike, and so I have a carbon frame road bike now, and I go out and I can still not catch up to them, but I'm a lot closer than I was on my hybrids. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not working quite as hard and enjoying it a heck of a lot more.
Yeah, I still got lots of learning to do because I haven't clipped myself in yet, and you know so there's lots of got a trainer lined up for the winter, indoor trainer, and we'll get there.
Yeah, and quite honestly, there's no rush to get into clipless pedals. It's more important to worry about having a really good pedal stroke and nice round circles and stuff like that before you even worry about clipping yourself in. And clipless pedals have actually come a long way in that you can adjust the tension, so making it easier or harder to clip in and out. So if you're not, when you do decide to make the leap to clipless pedals, really take a look at adjusting the tension so that you can put it on the easiest when you're first learning them.
Ah, good. Yep. Yeah, because I was with one girl a couple weeks here ago, just had a severe crash, and I'm going, I want to be clipped in. Why?
Most of the time we do crash, I forgot to get my foot out before I came to a full stop crash, which hurts a lot less. It's mostly your pride, but
yeah, this one was her pride plus her head plus her half of her body, so it was pretty bad. Yeah, so it was.
But honestly, no rush to get into clipless pedals, and when you do, really look for that tension adjustment so that you can really get comfortable with how easy it is to get in and out of them. And as you get more comfortable, then you can adjust the tension because you'll have a very solid understanding of how tight you want them to be before your foot pops out of the pedal.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
no problem. The other thing to think about is trying it on your trainer, because I have some friends that got into cycling from spin class, and they're used to wearing clipless pedals on the spin class bike. So just the actually getting on and off there gave them enough muscle memory to have some idea of what it feels like before you get out there and you're not being held up and that kind of thing. So
that's what I'm thinking of. They're going, when are you going to do it? And I said, when are we going inside? Then I'll clip myself in.
Yeah, and quite honestly, there's no rush to be on clipless pedals. It's take your time doing it so that you're feeling comfortable, because there's nothing worse than being scared and that you're going to be unable to get out.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So
Thank you.
yeah, no worries. So I noticed Darla here said that she got into road biking 3 years ago with the speed skating club. Hey, former speed skater as well. um, Prepare for GT with the kids and fell in love with it. Nice. Just got a gravel bike this summer. Tried cross for the first time last week. Oh no, have the bruises to show for it. Oh no, but are you still hooked there, Darla? Did you enjoy cross at least?
That means you were giving her.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'd recommend you give it one more shot, because cross is actually pretty hilarious, and it's a good group of people. So let those bruises heal up, and give it one more shot. That's what I'd really encourage you. And I guess we've also got Alyssa. Awesome, Darla. That's the spirit. Love it. And if not, I'll find you and harass you to do it. This is why nobody's putting their face up, so I can't find them.
I can't find them.
So, Alyssa, have you got access to audio?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, nice.
Road biking hybrid this year. No clipless.
Yeah, and honestly, there's no reason to get into clipless pedals right away. I've been coaching cycling for quite a few years, and a lot of women who come out with clipless pedals, I actually take them off and make them start with flats, because it's too much distraction when you're trying to learn something for the first time. They're really not necessary, and when you get up into the higher levels, that's when the efficiency of having the clipless pedal comes into play, but they're not necessary for beginner cyclists.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I actually also got a hybrid just recently. It's my upgrade to my commuting rig, and I actually have double-sided pedals on it, because although on my road bike and my cross bike, I like clipless because I've been doing it for so long. A lot of the time when I'm bumping around in my hybrid, I like having the flats. So I've got ones that are double-sided so I can choose. So there you go.
Yeah, and that's a great option. That really is. So is there any questions anybody has that at this point, or should we jump into some of the things we were going to discuss? Everybody good with that?
Cool.
Okay, so I'll get Nicole is going to talk a little bit about the gear for the gear and the clothing for both road and gravel bikes. We'll get you to start with road, and then I'll do mountain biking, and then we'll switch back to you, Nicole, for gravel, and then I can do what you need if you want to ride in the winter with your fat bike, or if you're a winter commuter. Some of this will also translate.
Sounds good. Do you want to do gear and clothing together, or?
No, because they're significantly different in the different disciplines. So I'll let you start with road.
Okay, sounds good. So for road riding, there are a few musts, as everybody knows. You have to have a helmet. So I've got everything that I bring with me on a bike ride up here, and I thought I'd just go through it. So here's my helmet. There we go. You need something to pump your tires up, so I'm sure everyone's got a floor pump at home. If you don't, it's a good thing to add, so that you don't have to go maybe to a gas station to pump up your tires if you have like a Schrader valve and you're not relying on whatever you're using as a backup in the field.
I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. Is everybody familiar with the different types of valves on their tubes? Yes. Okay. Darla is. Alyssa, how about you? Yep. Okay. And Ruth is good. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Okay, so we don't have to explain that. So, okay.
So, I have two pumps up here. I've got a floor pump in the background there, and I also bring with me a mini pump when I'm in the field. So mine actually sits right on my bicycle, which is kind of neat. But you can also put it in a pocket or put it in an under the seat bag. I see Alyssa's got a question here. How often do I need to buy a new helmet? That's a really excellent question, actually. Yeah. I buy a new helmet about every 5 years, but I'm not sure what the current wisdom is about that, to tell you the truth. They often have a marking on them.
The one thing that I will mention though is if you ever have, and hopefully this doesn't happen, but if you ever have a crash and you hit your helmet, it is highly recommended that you replace it at that point, because you just don't know how much you've compromised the integrity of it. But I think Nicole is dead on that. Every 5-6 years is perfectly fine for most helmets, because after that point, the foam and stuff will start to deteriorate, and so you start compromising your safety.
Yeah, so. Yeah, that's true. And so, yeah, and then the other thing to know about helmets is if you do have a crash and you need to replace your helmet, a lot of times if you reach out to the manufacturer, they have programs where you send it back to them with some information about your crash, and they'll give you a discount off of a replacement. And it's part of their research program to help figure out how they perform and how to make them better. So,
and every once in a while, the helmet manufacturers, instead of giving you a discount, they'll actually give you a new helmet if it's some new technology that they're testing with the helmets. So if you're lucky enough that you happen to have a helmet that is kind of a new model, that they're testing some new crash resistance and stuff like that, you might end up actually getting a whole brand new helmet, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty cool. And then I also bring an under the seat bag. So I took mine off my bike here, and I thought I would just go through it with you. So I'm going to tilt this down a little bit so that you can see. And this basically has everything else. So I have a mini pump so that I can put air in my tires if I get a flat, and everything else fits in my bag. And so to go with that pump, I have tire levers. I have 2 in my bag. A lot of people like 3 for a little bit of extra leverage. So you might want to bring 3 with you. I put a 2 in my under the seat bag. This big box is a cross tube. Road tube is smaller, so I fit my bag with whatever I need for what I'm riding that day. There's quite a lot of overlap between gravel and road. In fact, that's the only difference between my gravel setup bag and my road setup bag. I bring a little bit of first aid stuff. So I have a little bit of disinfectant, a couple of gauze pads, that kind of thing, to just clean up a bit of road rash in case there is an accident.
But you never crash, right?
I wish I could say that. I don't crash when I'm not racing usually, but you know, be prepared.
It's nice to have. It's preventative.
Yeah, for sure. And I added this to my list. I actually bring a little piece of rubber with me for the type of flats if you get your tire slashed by a big piece of metal or something like that. Sometimes the hole is too big, and when you put your replacement tube in the tire, it'll actually come out of your tire. And so a little boot on the inside of your tire will help prevent that and help you get home. So I carry that. And I have a multi-tool. And so this is in the nice to have kind of category. In case something comes loose or you want to make an adjustment on your bike, it's good to have something like this with you. I don't use it a whole ton out in the field, but you know, it's a nice to have. So if you can put one in your bag, that's fantastic. And because sometimes you get more than one flat, I also bring a couple patches. So my go-to is to just stick a new tube in there. But I only carry one tube, so just in case I have a couple patches. Some people like to bring CO2 cartridges instead of tube pumps. They're a lot less work. They're super fast. Mine is a screw-on type, so you get CO2 cartridges that have a thread on them. And then my CO2 nozzle is just a little threaded gun thing. Other ones look a lot more like a gun trigger. It's nice to do because it's super fast, but they're kind of one-shot deals a lot of the time. Mine doesn't have a gauge on it, so it's just like a one-time thing. So again, that's in the realm of one flat on your trip, and then you hope there's nothing else. So I usually always bring a tube just in case as backup. On my bike, I guess I also bring water bottles. So you can see in the background, I've got 2 water bottles on my bike. I tend to bring both of them full, no matter what, just in case. And you've always got the water if you want it, but you don't have to bring them. And it depends on what you're going for. And my bike's outfitted with a red light flasher on the back, a white light in the front, because I often ride in the dusk or in the dark. And a nice to have is also like a GPS or Garmin or other device just to feed the addiction, track your numbers, and maybe have a map with you. You don't have to have a map. You can go the old school way and plan a route, write some, sorry, I see some questions here. I have a tiny, tiny little mini pump. This is a road pump. It does high pressure and it's super, super light. So it just has this little thing that comes out here, and I like this one because it has this wavy thing, so you can actually put it on your tire and sort of move around. The ones that go right on your valve, you're sort of stuck and you can't really move very much, so this one's got kind of good ergonomics, but there's tons and tons of different versions. And Lori pointed out that extra water is good for crashes. It's very, very true.
It is true.
A bottle with water in it and a bottle with mix in it so that you get some electrolytes, but also so that you have clear water to put on any cuts or scrapes.
Yes.
There we go.
As much as we'd like to say that the odd crash never happens, it does. It's cycling. Every once in a while something happens. So just like life, you walk into a telephone pole every once in a while. Mountain biking and road riding and any type of cycling, you're going to run into the odd mishap, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So that's pretty much everything I bring with me on a ride. I bring food too, and there's a nutrition session later this week, so I'm not going to go into what I bring on rides because there's going to be lots more advice on that. But I think that's about it in terms of gear. We've already talked a little bit about clipless pedals, so.
Right. Yeah, and feel free to chime in with any questions and stuff as we go along. There's no set format for any of this. So I'll quickly jump into mountain biking, Nicole, unless you had something. That's a really good point. Gloves. Nicole.
So I was going to bring up gloves in the clothing section of this, but yes, I do wear gloves for the ouchies. When you lay out and put your hands down, it's really nice to have something else on your hands so you still have your palms when you're done. And just like the comfort on your handlebars is pretty nice. So and I do it mostly from the cuts and scrapes perspective. Lots of people like to ride barehanded. But
Nicole, if you want to actually go into the clothing that you use for road cycling.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good. And then the other thing I wanted to point out was a little bit of maintenance. So it's a good thing to sort of keep your drivetrain clean. And by drivetrain, I mean the chain and the cassette in the back. And so to keep your chain clean, you can wipe it down with whatever you've got really, but a tool like this is really helpful. I dragged it upstairs. You put like a bit of detergent in it, it opens up and goes on your chain. And then you just crank your pedals to run the chain through it. And it's got all kinds of like sponges and knobby bits that go through and clean out all the links. So a little bit of detergent, run that through your chain, wipe it down, and then hit it with some lube. You should definitely have lube at home because it'll make your life way better. So there we go. But that's a good thing to do when, what is this called? That's a good question. This one is made by Park Tool and it's got a label on it. It's called a chain scrubber, but like a chain cleaning tool is kind of the generic name for it, I guess.
Yeah, and they do make cleaning chains a little bit more efficient, but if you don't have one, just putting a little bit of Dawn dish detergent in water and soaking a cloth in it and then running your chain through also is a easy way to clean it as well. If you don't have access to a brush or anything like that, it's a nice way to at least take some of the grime off.
Yeah. How often do you clean a chain? I don't clean my chains nearly enough. But, I sort of do it when I start to tell that it's not right. And so sometimes you can tell by sound, especially out here in Saskatchewan where things are really dry and dusty. Your chain will get dried out and squeaky, and you've gone too long if you're hearing that.
Yeah, and I think it kind of depends too. Like I find maybe because I also worked at how often should you lube the chain and how often should you clean the chain? Okay, so cleaning the chain depends on the usage. I always clean my chain after I ride gravel because so much of the dirt and stuff gets caught in the chain and stuff like that. So after every gravel ride, I will clean my chain. With mountain biking, I'm doing it probably every 1 to 3 weeks, depending on how much riding I'm doing. Nicole, how much are you? Well, I guess you answered that already.
Yeah, so I already admitted that I don't do it nearly as much as I should for gravel. I probably do it every 2 or 3 rides. Yeah. And then I try to not lube it until I've cleaned it for gravel because just your chain gets covered in so much dust. And if you add lube, it just makes it a big grimy disaster.
Yeah. Good rule of thumb is to always clean your chain first before you, like if you've been doing gravel or if your chain is really grimy, it's a better idea to clean it first and then apply the lube. But for road riding and for like just riding on city streets and stuff like that, you can probably get away with, I would recommend probably once every 3 weeks. And quite honestly, I'm a little bit more anal because I did work as a bike tech at Western Cycle, so I probably clean my chain. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum with Nicole in that I clean my chain probably more often than most people do. So, but once every 3 weeks is probably a good rule of thumb. Nicole, would you agree?
Yeah, that sounds good. Definitely.
Okay.
That's about where I'm at. Sure. And after every time you go riding in the rain after that.
Yes, sure. Yes. After the rain, and I'd highly recommend after a gravel ride as well. Those are the two kind of exceptions that it makes sense to clean and re-lube after each of those type of rides.
Yeah, yeah. Which means often after a cross race.
Yes.
Your chain.
Yeah.
Especially, last week was pretty dry, at least in Regina. The week before it was muddy mess, so that would be. I cleaned my chain after the first one, the muddy one, but I skipped it after the last race.
And the thing is, just even looking at your chain, if you can't see through the links down to the ground because there's grime buildup in there, that's a really good sign that it needs to be cleaned. And there's huge value in cleaning because then everything just runs smoothly. You won't have shifting problems, things like that happening. And if your chain and drivetrain are all nice and clean and you're still getting skipping on your gears and stuff like that, then the problem is not that area. It's probably having to do with other parts like the shifting and stuff like that, and your cables or whatever. But at least you can eliminate whether it's a problem with your drivetrain not being clean.
Yeah, for sure. And then for gravel, if anyone starts to plunge into that, there's a spot on your bike. Oh, I'm not drivetrain out, but the 2 little pulleys in the back by your cassette, I find those really, really accumulate mud out here in different, I'm from a different part of Canada originally, and that never used to be an issue for me. But out here,
welcome to clay soil.
Yeah, my pulleys are always covered in clay, so it's often really good to like get your thumb or a screwdriver or something like that just in to scrape that off in there, because it'll get.
So, does everybody know what Nicole's referring to when she says the pulley wheels on the derailleur? Or wait, she's going to show us.
Okay, wait. Let me turn them around.
We're going to get a visual. Here we go.
There we go. So,
Can you drag it up to the camera?
point it down. Can you see? Close enough? I can't really tell. Yeah, here we go. These are your pulleys.
If you can just point to where the pulley wheels would be in, so on your back derailleur there, that thing that she's moving up and down, there's two flat wheel things with teeth on them, and that's what she's referring to that need cleaning.
Yeah.
They get all gummed up with the type of terrain well, especially with the gravel and stuff that we have here. So
yeah, and when you're looking, you'll find like there's a couple teeth that are exposed. They're sort of like the chain's not on them, so you can just get in there with like, sometimes I just do it with a rag and pinch them and then spin the pedals. The pulleys will turn and you'll just clean it right off. So
yeah,
there you go. Mine are nasty. I mean to clean my bike.
Yeah, and quite honestly, keeping your bike and components nice and clean goes a long way to the longevity of everything staying in nice working order, and how long things will last for you on your bike. It kind of goes without saying. It's just like a car. The more maintenance you put into it, and upkeep that you keep on top of, the longer the bike will last you. So, okay. So. Did you have any other clothing recommended or things that you'd recommend for road for, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's just clothing left. So I'd say the only kind of, well, it's negotiable, but it's non-negotiable thing for me would be shorts with a chamois in them. Road style tend to be like spandexy and tight with a chamois in them. But you can wear mountain bike shorts if you prefer to on road, whatever is good for you. But the chamois makes a really big difference, and it makes a big difference.
And if you're unfamiliar with it, what she's referring to is a chamois. If you turn the mountain bike or any cycling shorts inside out, it's a bit of padding.
Yeah.
And there's, I'd highly recommend it for women especially, get women's shorts, because the design of the chamois inside is meant to sit specifically on your hip bones and the pubic bones and stuff like that, that are specific to women, and obviously either like men. Obviously, men don't have the same positioning, so it's really important to get a chamois that is specific to women. Don't use your husbands or boyfriends; they won't be as comfortable.
Yeah. You might see
Lori, nice face.
There you go. For road anyway, once you're going down into the rabbit hole of that stuff, I wore shorts, like regular shorts with a chamois in them, for probably the first 10 years I did biking, and then I switched to bib shorts, and they're really they look crazy, and you have to take your shirt off to go to the bathroom, which is kind of a drag. But
yeah, they still haven't figured out a women's version of those.
I've tried a few, one that's a halter and one that has a clasp, and I don't know, it's not a magic bullet, but they don't have like a tight waistband, so you may find it more comfortable, especially on a cross bike, a gravel bike, or a road bike, to be wearing bib shorts. All right, Ruth, we gotta come here. So there's something to think about. And Darla, perfect. You guys are way ahead of me. There we go. So that's mostly it. We talked about gloves already. I'm a fan of cycling hats because it keeps my helmet clean and it keeps the bugs out of my hair. Smooths out my muffin top. I like it. I tend to wear glasses to protect your eyes.
Yeah.
So these are transitions, which is kind of nice. But anything clear at night, shaded in the day. And then I get a lot of flack for this from people, but I really like sun sleeves rather than sunscreen. So I actually wear like UV arm. They're not arm warmers. they're light
Sun
fabric that gives you, yeah, UV protection. So I tend to wear that on my arms rather than sunscreen. But that's just me. There we go. What do I put on my legs this time of year? Where did I have long tights, long bib tights. So this is my, well, these are kind of my wintry ones. They're sort of like a 5-degree kind of weather. So I hem and haw about whether or not I'm going to do them right around now for quite some time. But sometimes I just wear like yoga tights over my shorts for a little bit extra. Those ones have a chamois in them, actually.
Yeah, but a lot of tights are, what I'll do in the wintertime is I'll just wear my normal riding short chamois, and then I'll put whatever, I guess, warmth of tights that I want over top. So I'm not tied into buying a whole bunch of different a whole bunch of different cycling specific tights. Like I can use my tights for all sorts of other sports as well, like cross country skiing and stuff like that. So using your chamois that you use for whatever type of cycling underneath is the best way to go, and then just layer with whatever you use for tights as it gets. Like I have 3 different warmths of tights that I actually wear, and then when we get into talking about fat biking, I actually wear ski pants over top of the tights as well for an extra layer of warmth.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And so I bought these ones because I do a lot of cold weather riding, and I like, yeah, so they're kind of an extra nice thing for me. But I did that after like many years of doing winter riding and deciding like, this is the thing I do, so I'm going to get the clothes for it. But before then, the same thing, I wore tights. And in the shoulder seasons, yeah, if you just have other sport tights of varying weights, you can really extend your season that way. Mm-hmm. I wear sometimes just like wool long johns over my cycling shorts. And yeah, like wool base layers to help out on the top too. We didn't talk too much about tops. Cycling jerseys are great. If you don't want to do that, just wear an athletic top, whatever suits you. Like that's the way to go. Yeah. So that is pretty much road and gravel. I realized while I was grabbing all my stuff that the only thing that I do differently for gravel is my gravel tube. So
which is slightly bigger. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Well, there's a little bit of difference for mountain biking and fat biking. I'll start with mountain biking. Basically, yeah, you can pick whatever pretty color helmet you want. The one thing that you'll notice that is different with what Nicole has with her road helmet and my mountain bike is that there's a visor on the mountain bike helmets. And it's not for aesthetics. It's actually to create a bit of shade, and also you're kicking up a lot of mud and stuff like that a lot of times when you're mountain biking. So it actually keeps it out of your face. So there is a purpose for the visor. What else do we have? Pump, very much like what Nicole has. The one I have is just a little bit bigger. Same type of deal though. I won't take it apart, but there's actually inside here is the extension of the tube so that you can attach it, and very much like Nicole's, you don't have to worry about having it right on the. You can move it around and stuff like that. Spare tube, same thing. Mountain bike tubes are just a little bit fatter. I was looking all over for a fat bike tube because it's probably double the width of this. If you've ever ridden a fat bike, they're huge. And let's see, same thing as Nicole, a set of tire levers. So mine are nice and bright yellow so I don't lose them. And one of the things I highly recommend you carry, whether it's with your cell phone or whatever, is your emergency contact information. It's something that I actually have pasted or taped inside my my water bladder, just in case. Because if I'm unconscious and stuff like that, and they don't know what the passcode is to on my phone or whatever, it's nice to have that emergency contact information somewhere else, especially if you're running into someone that actually doesn't know you. So it is important to carry emergency contact information for those times that something happens, and hopefully it never does, but it's important to have it accessible to whoever's helping you out. Much like Nicole was saying, I do carry a patch kit, but I typically, for mountain biking, carry 2 spare tubes, because it's just easier than trying to patch it on the trail. Same thing, water bottle. For me, the water bottle is what I put my energy drink in. But what I actually carry my water in is a backpack, which has this is a small one. It carries 1.5 liters of water. It has a little pocket for my cell phone and some tire levers and things like that. That's for short 2 to 3 hour trips when I'm going out. When I go on big trips to the mountains, I actually have a full pack where I can carry extra clothing. It has a 3 liter water reservoir for it. But you can carry tons of gear, tons of food, things like that. So with mountain biking, it depends on the length of trip that you're going on. The nice thing about most mountain bike packs like this too is they have a bit of padding and stuff like that. So it's and adjustable straps and everything, so that you can get them a perfect fit for what you're needing to do. They have a hip belt to keep the pack from flipping up on you when you're going downhill. So if you're going on any sort of ride that's going to be, I would say 3 hours or longer, a pack this size is probably what you want to be looking at. Not totally necessary if you're not planning on doing it. Just smaller packs, like I was showing you earlier, are kind of nice to have because it's better than carrying a ton of water bottles. Let's see. Gloves with mountain biking, it's kind of a personal preference. I have 2 different styles of gloves, and the only difference between these are both summer and spring riding gloves. But if you can see with these, they actually have a bit of padding in the areas that you'd be putting pressure on your hands. But you can also, if you're not a fan of that, if you find I don't need that extra padding, some people really like it because they grip the handlebars really tight, especially when they're first learning. So their hands get sore. So these, looking for gloves that actually have some extra padding is kind of nice. But once you get more comfortable and stuff like that, it's totally fine to have gloves that have like 0 padding on the hands. You don't need it because you have grips on your handlebars, and will take up a lot of the shock. Let's see. Much like Nicole was saying, I do carry a multi-tool for any sort of things that need to be tightened or repaired. Comes with a flathead screwdriver, a star screwdriver, and then a whole bunch of different Allen keys that fit the different sizes of components that you're going to have on your bike that may need to be tightened for any reason. It's always nice to have that. Let's see what else. And like I said, I do carry my cell phone with me. One of the nice things about having a cell phone is there is a app called Trail Forks, and it works off a satellite, so you don't need cell phone reception in order to download trail maps. So if you're in an area that actually has a mountain bike trail that you're not familiar with, because it's satellite based, you can get reception for it. Doesn't matter if you're out of cell phone range, and you know, it'll track you and let you know where you are on the trail. Very nice feature. So if you've Trail Forks is primarily for mountain bike trails, but I do believe that they've started adding some other trails as well. So like gravel trails and stuff like that. So it's worth looking into. It's a free app. It's honestly, I love it. It's a great way to not feel like, oh my God, where the hell am I on the trails. And that's about it for oh yeah, mountain bike. Okay, so with mountain biking, one of the things that is a little different is, so you typically have your chamois and then you have your overshorts, and they can come in varying different lengths. Like these are a fairly short pair that go to about mid-thigh. And then when I'm riding more technical terrain and I want a little bit more coverage, these actually go a little past my knees. So you can, and they're more durable too. They're heavier one that I tend to wear in rougher terrain or in the wintertime because they're a little bit warmer. So,
Alyssa's got a question here about tube patches being like how effective they are. I have used a tube patch for like 5 or 6 years now, so I'm not.
They are still effective, but you definitely need to take the time to practice how to do them properly. They are absolutely effective if you know how to do them right, and it does take work. It's not one of those things that you want to learn when you're out and you need it. You definitely get there. The patch kits are so inexpensive. It's worth actually grabbing yourself a couple and practicing with them so that if you're ever put in a situation that you need them, that you won't be not adding enough glue and or not roughing up the sorry. No, that's probably not the best place to learn. One of the things that we did at Western Cycle is that we did have a women's night there where we actually taught basic things like how to change a tube and how to patch a tube and stuff like that. So I'd really recommend it, if you're at any of your local bike shops, if they're offering stuff like that, take the time to go. It's not typically there's no fee for learning to do stuff like that. YouTube is also a great resource that, you know, just spend a little time with a video and figuring out how to do it yourself can save you a lot of grief beside the side of the road. So,
and if you have a busted tube, that's a great place to practice, and you can ask around in the community. I guarantee you people have them lying around if you want one. So that
exactly.
I've got some if you need any.
Yeah, Nicole's volunteering all her tubes that have holes in them for you to practice on.
I tend to patch my trainer tube tires and use those, because then I don't get stuck if they develop a leak or something. So,
Okay, well, I'll just quickly get into the gear and the clothing for fat biking, because it is a little bit different. Is anybody here ever done fat biking in the wintertime?
Oh, guys.
No?
It's super fun. Rent one and try it.
One of the things what I was saying to Nicole before everybody came on is that I really was starting to dread winter because it's very long and everything, until I found fat biking in the wintertime. Because honestly, as soon as you're dressed right for it, it takes honestly 2 minutes to warm up and you do not feel cold the whole time that you're out. And then, so basically my riding season has been extended from just the good rideable weather to pretty much all year round, except for that really horrible cold snap that we get in January, February. And it's 2 weeks long and I'm like, whatever, that'll take a break then. But I basically ride pretty much all year round now. With fat biking, there's, cool. Yeah, absolutely. Do it. Do it, Lori. Like, you just, honestly, it's, it changes your perspective on getting out in the wintertime. It really does. One of the things, some of the unique things about fat biking in the wintertime that you'll need some extra gear. For me, I have, because I used to snowboard and everything too, I basically have my goggles from snowboarding. So if you did skiing or snowboarding, you can repurpose a lot of the same things for fat biking. These are ones that I use in in lighter conditions when it's more bright out. These ones are kind of cool because they're the lens actually pops forward and ventilates and nothing steams up. Which can happen a little bit. So I don't know if you can totally see this here, but the lenses do pop forward.
That's
so
cool.
So you get ventilation, you get the eye protection and the protection from the wind, but your lenses don't fog up, which can be a little bit of an issue with riding in the wintertime. For fat biking, you definitely need a good pair of warm mitts. I would recommend mitts over gloves simply because just like anything else with gloves, if the fingers are separated, they're not keeping warm. You can get lobster mitts. Sorry?
Can you wear goggles over glasses? Not the mitts over glasses.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What you want to be looking for goggles is that they're designated OTG, which means over the glasses. You can get specific goggles that are made specifically to go over people's glasses, and they're a little bit wider and stuff like that. Performance-wise, there's no difference, but OTG is the designation you want to look for goggles if you wear glasses. So yeah, and I alternate between wearing glasses and not under my goggles. So yeah, just depends on what I'm doing. Just back to the mitts, nice warm pair of mitts. Highly recommend that over gloves. Keeps your hands warmer. Lobster mitts are great because they keep your fingers together if you're not as keen on the full glove or the full mitt, sorry. One of the things I do highly recommend though is something that's called a bar mitt. For they cover your hands and your shifters on your mountain bike, your fat bike. So basically what it does is it creates, it allows me to wear a lighter mitt and get total protection from the wind and the elements when I'm fat biking, so my hands do not get cold. A lot of people who ride with just mitts notice a huge difference when they put the bar mitts on, and they're simply little neoprene things that go, like I said, they go over the shifters and the brake levers on your handlebars. They're brilliant. Like, considering that they're just neoprene, it's amazing how much warmth they increase. The other thing for fat biking in the winter, once again, crossover from snowboarding or skiing, winter helmet. So it's insulated. You have coverage for, like, it's, instead of just having the air come through, like there's airflow vents, but just like any other winter sport, it has insulation in there. So again, I just wear an extremely light, like thin toque for a little layer of extra insulation, but I don't have to wear a big toque under this for the helmet. So a lot of people, when they fat bike in the winter, just wear a toque under their riding helmet, but it's bulky, it's not as ventilated. I just find if you have a winter helmet for snowboarding or skiing, it's great to repurpose for fat biking. And one of the other cool things is obviously you can, if you have a camelback, a smaller camelback, and you want to take water with you, one of the great things that they have is I ride with my camelback inside my jacket to keep it warm. But the tube would freeze up until they invented these great little things that it's a neoprene sleeve and a little thing to keep the water reservoir from the hose from freezing up. And I think these things were like $7. something like that. So it was a worthwhile investment. So if you're going on a longer fat bike ride in the wintertime, I highly recommend. It's not a must have, but it's kind of nice to have. Either that, or the other thing that I've done is I have insulated water bottles, or I will actually put boiling water in my water bottles before I head out. And then by the time I'm done the ride, obviously everything's cooled off, but nothing is iced up.
I'd sometimes flip mine upside down too, so that you keep the water near the valve. Otherwise, the splashback will freeze your mouth shut. So
yeah, great tip. And as far as clothing, some extra things that I recommend for mountain biking is hugely warm socks is great. The boots that I have are actually super insulated, with just winter boots, but they have nice traction on the thing, so you're not going to slip off the pedals or anything. Pedals on fat bikes are the same as mountain bikes. They just have the normal pegs and stuff like that. So, but having a nice lug gives you really good grip. These are super insulated boots. I can't wear them in the springtime. They're that warm. And I'd highly recommend a boot that's quite warm for you to wear. And probably like just this height is probably what I'd recommend. Anything else, you can't really get the flexion on your feet when you're pedaling the bike otherwise. And so this, some people ride a slightly lower height on the boots, winter boots, but I prefer this height. I like having a little bit more support there for when I'm riding. I'm trying to think, is there anything? Oh yeah. So one of the things that I'll typically wear under my helmet, balaclava, you're familiar with these. You can get different weights. You can also get ones that come, like this one, actually, you can pull the nose right up to cover your nose if you want it to, which is kind of nice, or you can flip it or just pull it down. The other thing I like to have is a fleece neck warmer, just to cover up any sort of exposure of your neck, because sometimes the clothing that you wear won't necessarily be right up to and covering all the spots that can be exposed when you're riding. And I think that's about it. Are there any questions about fat biking? Is anybody going to come this winter and try it? Oh, there's dead silence. Nobody's like,
oh no.
I'll get some of you. I will. Fair enough. Honestly, when the weather starts getting nice towards springtime and everything, riding a fat bike out at Buffalo Pound and Wascana Trails is pretty amazing fun. Yeah. You know, it's not quite melting yet, but the sun is gained some strength, and it's actually quite cool to be out on your fat bike on the trails. So instead of just riding on the flats or on the road, or the gravel roads or whatever. So
I know there was a try a fat bike day at Wascana Park last year that Western put out, and I don't know if they'll be doing it again this year, but
I don't doubt they will. And
you make go and try it, do a lot.
Yeah, you make an excellent point, Nicole, because watch for demo days for trying any type of biking that you've never done before, because it's a great way to see if you would even be interested in doing it. Like that's an excellent point, Nicole.
Yeah. Because then you're not taking the deep plunge, but you can see what it's like and just try something new.
Yeah. I like how Liz is like, nope, not doing it. It's like, fair enough.
That's fair, definitely.
So how are we doing for time here? I guess we're right on the hour, eh?
Yeah, if anyone's got any more questions or anything like that, that's good. I'm gonna run out and get some more gear. I mean, so we both showed a whole lot of stuff, but the reality is, especially for summer riding, like if you've got shoes and a bike and your bike's in good condition and you've got a helmet, that's everything you need for a good time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for Lori and Alyssa and Darla for joining us. Really, really good questions. Really appreciate that. But I think we were going to let the SCA know that anybody can contact us if they have any further questions that they thought of after the fact. So feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to talk bikes. I'm sure Nicole's in the same boat.
For sure.
You'd probably be more like, can't get them to be quiet. Yeah. All right. Well, have a great rest of the evening, and thanks you very much for joining us. Thanks so much, Nicole, for hosting this with me. I had a lot of fun doing this, and we will definitely see everybody out on bikes as much as we can. All right.
For sure.
Nicole, did you have anything else, or?
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Wendy. That's awesome.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
All right.
Okay, so Nicole, do we end the meeting for all?
I guess so. Are you typing, Lori? You can like unmute yourself now. It's just us.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, that worked out really well. So yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out, Lori, anytime you have questions and stuff like that. Happy to answer any queries that you have. It just, yeah, like it's more an issue of trying to get me to be quiet about bikes.
Well, one of our gals that we ride with has asked us all if we wanted to come try out going out to her acreage or her farm or whatever, and just she's got some trails out there.
Oh.
She said come out in the wintertime and have a bonfire afterwards. And
Oh, cool. Okay, keep me in the loop.
Something none of us have tried. So hey.
Absolutely.
That's
Well,
cool, definitely.
yeah, well, keep us in the loop, because I'm sure it's like a bonfire, food, and riding. It's all the three things I just love.
Well, I heard there a rumor that we might get the one girl to bring sangria. So
Oh, just to sweeten the pot a bit. Hopefully, they have a place for those of us
I'm not
who
saying
are.
it's all going to be water.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully, there's a place to sleep afterwards.
Oh, that's
All right. Well, I guess we can end the meeting. And thanks so much for. It's nice to see you all again.
yeah, no kidding. Hopefully someday we're all back together again.
Yeah. Oh, dude, there's no question. It seems like once people get involved in riding in any of the disciplines, you seem to cross paths.
Yeah.
So.
And I have
All
to
right.
say, when someone asked how often you clean your chain, I was just kind of keeping quiet, but I clean my chain whenever Rob does it.
That works too.
Sure.
Yeah. It's quite honestly, when it comes to bike maintenance and stuff like that, like even though I learned, oh my God, so much the year that I worked at Western this past year, it's like, I also learned that it's like it would take me, it's a full-time job to get that good at bike mechanics. It's like I was actually almost thrilled when they moved me to sales for the last month or two, because I was like, sales I can do. But I was like, it was so overwhelming to be in service. Holy, like I didn't mind when I was building bikes in the basement. But up at the service desk where you're constantly interrupted and then trying to remember what you were doing for a repair, it's just like, oh my God, how did these guys do this? It just increased my respect for what the bike mechanics do even more. It's like, holy, like they do not pay bike mechanics enough. They really don't. Considering the knowledge that they have is just unreal. So.
I bet you see some real disasters of the bike setup occasionally too, like just dirty bikes coming in.
Well, yeah, and that's not uncommon. But the I think the most interesting thing that I learned was building bikes. Every single bike is different. You would think there would be consistency, but I can't remember how many times I'd get and I'd do the derailleur, do all the gearing and everything, and then I'm like, Alex, it's still not working, and he's like, okay, let me check what you've done, and he's like, oh, this is a special case, and I'm like, what? What? And that seemed to happen more often than not, and I'm like, how in the world do you figure this stuff out then if every single bike is different? Like, oh my God. So,
Unreal.
yeah, like it was a worthwhile experience, but enough to make me go, you know what? I'm glad for the extra knowledge I have, but there's things that I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm paying somebody to do that if I can afford it, because it's just too much work. It's just like, oh my God. Yeah. And they do not pay them enough. So bring them food. Oh,
For sure.
the puppy wants in on the conversation.
Oh, that's adorable.
Oh,
No kidding. Those guys are amazing. Like, yeah,
yeah.
it's a tough job.
It's yeah, like it created a whole new level of understanding, and I can't imagine what they're going through now with the rush on both buying and service.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, well, I better let you guys go because I actually have to finish some work tonight. The joys of being freelance.
Sounds
All right, thanks again,
awesome.
Nicole. Yeah. And we'll definitely see you out fat biking for sure. I know that.
Yeah, for sure. I was trying to figure out whether we've ridden together already or not. It's probable, but I'm not sure. So.
Yeah. I'm thinking we have for some of the winter rides last year.
Yeah. I feel like that's
It's hard to recognize with all the gear on, right?
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. Thanks again so much, and we'll see you on the trails.
Sounds good. Have a great day.